Welcome. In this video, we will give you an introduction to Xtreme Supply Chain Management, a 4-quarter decision period game. The learning objectives of this simulation are to develop business-to-business relationships, work with and manage a supply chain channel, develop insight into selling, purchasing, negotiating business deals, managing conflict, cultivating trust, using power, managing dependence, applying influence, delivering service quality, dealing with ethical issues, and managing risk. The classroom learning objectives of this simulation are all-encompassing and include 1. Developing negotiation and service level agreements, 2. Being able to describe supply chain roles, including value creation, relationship maintenance, and exchanges through optimal information sharing, 3. Demonstrating the procurement process, 4. Being able to describe what are procurement KPIs and effects on suppliers and customers, 5. Being able to describe selection of suppliers, supplier development activities, progression in relationships and development phases, 6. Understanding the importance of transparency, information sharing, supplier support, trust, and collaborative relationships, and 7. Translating a corporate strategy into a supplier relationship strategy. The simulation scenario is this. You are to start up a new company that will enter the microcomputer business during a turbulent period in our economic history. Your executive team has the next year to get this company off the ground in spite of economic, political, and supply chain risks that you will face. To achieve this goal, you must plan for and manage the risks that could emerge during this first year in business. Keep in mind there are 3 market segments. Mercedes, which are high price, high performance, Workhorse, which is low price and low performance, and Traveler, which is mid price and mid performance. You can choose to be either a reseller or a supplier. Resellers can set up 12 international sales offices. The first office has been opened in Chicago. A worldwide distribution center has been located in Mexico City. Suppliers have set up a factory in Shanghai. Suppliers and resellers have specialized functions and must work together to satisfy the market. Suppliers perform market research, capacity investments, production scheduling, lean manufacturing, quality control, and financial management. Resellers perform market research, marketing, sales and channel web and offices, sales force management, and financial management. Both work together to determine negotiations, quantities and prices, shipping options, supply chain improvements, and special payments. Supply chain relations, keep in mind, are free to form and dissolve. There are many decisions that can impact channel partners. These include order quantities and prices, mode and frequency of delivery, who pays the freight, supply chain management information systems, penalties for failure to fulfill promises, financial incentives to encourage favorable activities, and points of influence, including quality control or manufacturers' reliabilities, which impact resellers' demand, as well as marketing decisions, where manufacturers can monitor, market, and offer advice to the reseller. The negotiation process is long and tedious, but must be done. A typical timing is as follows. On day 1, the reseller emails a request for proposal with order quantities, shipment mode, and frequency, who pays the freight, as well as penalties for failed deliveries. On day 2, the supplier runs demand specifications through factory simulation to estimate the production costs, ability to deliver, and acceptable price. On day 3, the supplier emails the proposal back to the reseller or rejects the RFP. On day 4, the reseller evaluates offers and emails acceptance, modifications, or rejections. On day 5, the supplier and reseller negotiate the terms. Finally, the supplier builds and ships a good according to an agreed schedule, and the reseller ships products to customers from warehouse if the brand is in stock. When determining shipping options, you have to keep in mind that the mode of transportation you will use and whether it is slow, economically viable, whether it can expedite, whether it is fast or has quick response. You also have to keep in mind the frequency of the shipment. For example, does it come every 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, or 12 days? And as always, who pays the freight, the supplier or the reseller? You also have the option of different supply chain management information systems. There are 4 SEM MIS options. One is none, or the inventory push system. This is the default. 2 is level 1, or the partial demand pull system, which costs about $200,000. Level 2 is the comprehensive demand pull system, which costs $600,000. And level 3 is the direct link to the customer, which is $1 million. Keep in mind that both the supplier and the reseller must have the same MIS. Otherwise, working options default to the lesser system. Parties can also negotiate risk-sharing fees. For suppliers for level 2 and level 3 MISs, a reseller guarantees a minimum quantity of demand. If demand falls below minimum, the reseller will pay a negotiated fee for each unit of demand not generated. The fee will offset or pay for excess capacity cost. For resellers for level 1, 2, and 3 MIS, the supplier guarantees to produce and ship enough units to meet contractual obligations. If the quantity shipped is less than the number promised, then the supplier will pay a negotiated fee for each unit promised but not delivered. This fee will offset or pay for lost profits. There are always challenges firms face. Each party has a lot to do to just manage their operations, much less deal with supply chain issues. Leads and lags in inventory flows will cause misalignments between demand and supply, leading to stockouts or excess capacity and/or unneeded inventory. There's a finite amount of money to be divided between suppliers and resellers. It will be hard to get past the zero-sum game to the win-win game. Improvements in supply chains require a lot of money, negotiations, patience, trust, and a long-term perspective. Relationships will also be strained due to normal hiccups in the system, short-term opportunities that cause teams to shortchange partners, as well as perceptions of inequity, whether they are real or imagined, due to how profits and costs are shared and who has the advantage. Establishing longer-term relationships agreements is important in that they sometimes calm some of the more difficult problems faced by supply chain leaders. These agreements must include the following. First, a clear statement of your intent to work together, as well as the spirit of the intended relationship. The establishment of actions to be taken and a timetable for these actions, as well as a specification of goals, incentives, and penalties, as well as sizable investments in supply chain assets. The reason why firms establish longer-term relationship agreements include a reduced uncertainty and risks of buying and selling inventory in the future. They lead to a better coordination of activities and investments that could reduce cost and/or improve margins. They also reduce the workload and stress for all parties involved and allow your firm to move away from the zero-sum negotiations to the win-win business developments. Despite long-term relationships, firms will always manage to experience other risks, including suppliers or resellers downgrading your importance as a business partner, quality taking a nosedive, demand fails to materialize into a key segment, major economic downturns or upturns, as well as other risks. This is why it is important to anticipate risks, including business cycle, social and demographic risks, as well as macro risk as depicted in this table here. Resellers, get prepared because in quarter one, there are following activities that you will have to perform. choosing your target segments, choosing a brand for each target segment, scheduling the opening of additional sales offices, establishing brand prices and priorities, designing an advertising campaign, hiring sales and service personnel, contacting suppliers to learn who they are and how they would like to do business, negotiating supply contracts with one or more suppliers, exploring longer-term relationships with those suppliers, investing in management information systems as well as electronic data interchange should you choose Level 2 or Level 3 MIS, purchasing market research, checking pro forma financial statements, as well as conducting risk assessments. Similar to the resellers, suppliers, you have quite a bit to do in terms of quarter one. Here are your activities. Moving into a factory in Shanghai, deciding whether to expand your factory for the future, contacting resellers to learn who they are and how they would like to do business, negotiating sales contracts with resellers, scheduling production to meet the resellers' needs, adding capacity if needed, initiating a quality program, exploring longer-term relationships with suppliers or resellers, investing in management information systems, investing in electronic data interchange if you are in Level 2 or Level 3 MIS, purchasing market research, checking pro forma financial statements, and conducting risk assessment. With all of these activities, it is important to plan ahead. Please choose a day and time to meet up. Decide on whether to be a supplier or reseller, and make relevant decisions for your channel role. You will also have to assign responsibility for individuals. Resellers, choose your VP of Marketing and Sales, VP of Supply Chain Negotiations for purchasing, and VP of Finance and Long-Term Relationships. Suppliers, choose your VP of Operations, VP of Supply Chain Negotiations for sales, and VP of Finance for long-term relationships. Remember that these roles can be filled by more than one person, but keep in mind you will have to work closely with that individual should you choose the same role. As always, you will have to actively participate in the simulation, and that means setting deadlines for yourself and your group. Below are some important deliverables. You as a team can set up the deadlines to fulfill each of these deliverables.